Chapter 1, Part 1. Before Dawn. Hola, calaveras. Welcome, chacales. June 17th, 1867. Remember that date. 2 nights before Maximiliano faced Mexican rifles at Querétaro. History remembers that week for an emperor. I remember it for wheels. Wooden wheels over broken road. Clack. Groan. Clack. Groan. I did not know the year then. Children do not wake from fire and ask what history has decided to call the wound. A child knows smoke. A child knows binding. A child knows the taste of blood in his mouth and the terrible silence of not hearing his familia anymore. Only later did I learn the names that had been moving around me like shadows before they had faces. Juárez, Maximiliano, La Reforma, República, Imperio, Querétaro. Words I had heard through doors. Words my father had swallowed before they reached the dinner table. Words my mother heard and pretended not to fear. At 9 years old, I did not understand politics. I understood my father had begun carrying his revolver inside the house. I understood men came to speak with him after dark. I understood papers burned better when adults were afraid. And I understood, even then, that mi papá had looked behind him before the gate closed. Los niños see more than grown men think. I woke inside the carriage. My head hurt. My throat hurt worse. Smoke was in my hair. Smoke was in my shirt. When I swallowed, it tasted like the house was still burning inside me. My hands were tied in front of me, not with rope. White cloth, soft cloth. I pulled once. The cloth tightened. I stopped. Across from me sat the man with the golden eyes. He was not moving. He was just looking at me. I looked at the floor, then at the covered window, then back at him. He was still looking. The carriage wheels kept turning. Clack. Groan. Clack. Groan. Outside, men rode beside us. I heard horses. Leather. One man coughing. Someone whispered something I could not understand. The golden-eyed man smiled. Not big. Just a little. Then he laughed once. Soft. Like he had remembered something funny. But only to himself. I did not like that laugh. I wanted him to yell. I wanted him to hit me. I wanted him to do anything that made sense. He only watched. Mi mamá, I said. My voice sounded small. The wheels answered first. Clack. Groan. Clack. Groan. The man tilted his head. For a moment I thought he had not understood me. Then he said words I did not know. Saveirat and Caligo. Not Spanish. Not French. Not Latin. I would hear Latin later and learn the difference. This language had no church in it. It sounded older than prayer. I stared at him. He waited. Maybe he wanted me to cry. I did. Not loud. The tears came before I could stop them. Hot on my face, dirty on my lips. I hated them because he could see them. He laughed again. Softer this time. Then, in Spanish, he said, "Detrás. Behind us." I sat up. Alive? He looked at me. Nothing else. Just looked. Alive? I asked again. The carriage hit a hole in the road. My shoulder struck the wall. I bit my tongue and tasted blood. He saw the blood on my lip. His eyes changed. Not much. Enough. His hand moved toward me. I flinched. He stopped just short of my face, then took a white handkerchief from his coat and pressed it under my lip. Not gently. Not cruelly. Carefully. The cloth came away red. He looked at the blood. Then he breathed in once through his nose. His smile faded. Ballesteros. He whispered, not like a man saying a name, like a lock hearing its key. I tried to pull away. The silver chain across his vest gave a soft little sound as he leaned closer. "You will not get far, little one," he said. "Do not waste your strength." Then he folded the bloody cloth and placed it inside his coat. Only later did I understand that he was not looking at my pain. He was looking for something inside it. At 9 years old, I only knew this. He was not done with me. I cried for my mother again. I cried until my throat gave out. The man across from me let me. That was worse than being told to stop. A grown man telling a child to stop crying still believes the crying matters. Silence from a monster teaches the child a different lesson. Your grief is not an argument. Your grief is weather, and the carriage moves through it. Outside, one of the riders came close to the window. "Before dawn?" he asked. The golden-eyed man did not look away from me. "Before dawn. The priest will open. He has opened for worse." The rider dropped back. The carriage kept moving. I tried to look out, but black cloth had been pinned across the little window from the inside. No moon came through. No road. No stars. Only the moving dark. Only the wheels. Only the man. After a while, the road changed. Stone became dirt. Dirt became dust. The smell changed too. Less smoke. More dry grass. Old leather. Cold air. Then something else. Wax. I knew that smell. Church. Of course. Where else would devils hide in Mexico, mis chacales? Not in caves. Caves are too honest. Not in graveyards. The dead are better company than most men. No. Devils who wish to last do not dress like devils. They borrow the body of religion. A bell tower, a white wall, a wooden cross. A saint with painted eyes. A door that opens for widows, orphans, the hungry, the frightened and the lost. A door no decent man questions too loudly. That is where evil survives longest. Not in darkness, in permission. Do not twist my words. I have seen true faith. I have seen old women pray with hands cracked from work, and their prayers were cleaner than any bishop's ring. I have seen nuns hide children under flour sacks while soldiers searched the courtyard. I have seen dying men say God's name with no lie behind it. Faith is not the villain of this story. Faith was one of the first bodies they learned to wear. The carriage slowed. No bell rang. That was how I knew the church was awake for the wrong reason. The golden-eyed man placed his hat back on his head. Only then did he stop looking at me. Only then did I breathe like a boy again. The carriage door opened. Cold air entered. So did the smell of old stone. A priest waited outside in the gray before dawn. Small men, white sleeves, soft hands. Too soft for a man who spoke so often of suffering. He crossed himself when he saw the golden-eyed man, not when he saw me. Dios nos perdone, the priest said. The golden-eyed man stepped down from the carriage. God has been very busy this year. One rider pulled me out. My legs were not ready. I fell to my knees in the dirt. I started crying again. Not because I wanted to, because I saw the church. The white wall, the cross, the open door. For one stupid second, I thought I was saved. Children are cruelly built for hope. Mi mama, I said again. No one answered. The rider lifted me under the arm. I tried to pull away from him, but there was nowhere to go. Men stood near the carriage. Horses blocked one side. The church wall blocked the other. The golden-eyed man stood in front of the door. I looked down the road. Dark. Empty. A child does not need a map to know when the world has become too large. They took me inside. The church smelled of wax, damp stone, old flowers and ashes no one could see. Candles burned along the walls. Their little flames shook when the door closed behind us. Saints watched from painted frames with sad eyes and calm hands. I looked at one saint longer than the others. A woman in blue. Her face reminded me of my mother. That hurt so badly I looked away. A few people were already inside. Not many. A bent old man near the back. A woman kneeling with a shawl over her head. A boy sweeping near the front, pushing dust from one shadow to another, as if the floor had sinned and needed forgiveness before sunrise. The boy looked at me. Only once. Then he looked down. I did not know it then, but that was a warning. Do not ask. Do not answer. Do not be seen knowing. The priest walked ahead of us. His sandals made soft sounds on the stone. Soft. 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 I hated that sound. The golden-eyed man followed behind me. I could feel him without looking. We passed the altar. We passed the cloth. We passed the silver. We passed the place where bread became body and wine became blood. Behind it was a smaller door. The priest took a key from inside his sleeve. His hand shook. Not enough to save me, enough to remember. The door opened. A stair waited behind it. Narrow, dark, going down. I looked back toward the church. The old woman still knelt. The boy still swept. The saints still watched. No one moved. No one said, "Stop." That was the first thing the church taught me. Holy walls do not protect children by themselves. Someone living must choose to. They took me below. The stairs were old. The middle of each step had been worn smooth by feet that had learned not to run. At the bottom was a corridor with no windows. A lamp burned in the wall. Beside it hung a small cross. I looked at that cross while the rider pushed me forward. Children make bargains with objects. A cross, a ribbon, a broken toy horse. Anything can become salvation if you are small enough and frightened enough. The cross did nothing. A woman waited at the end of the corridor. Not the old woman from above. Not a servant. A nun. Her veil was plain. Her face was thin. Her eyes were tired in a way children recognize before adults do. She looked at the golden-eyed man first, then at the priest, then at me. Her eyes paused on the cloth around my wrists. "Too tight," she said. The priest frowned. "It is enough. It is too tight." The corridor went still. The golden-eyed man looked at the priest. Only looked. The priest's mouth closed. The nun stepped forward and untied the cloth. My wrists had red marks around them. She did not touch the marks. She only loosened the knot and tied it again with room enough for blood. Small mercy, mis chacales. Do not laugh at it. Sometimes, small mercy is all the world allows a decent soul to smuggle through a locked door. "What is your name?" she asked. I did not answer. The priest raised his hand. The nun looked at him. He lowered it. "His name is Luciano Ballesteros," the golden-eyed man said. The nun's face changed. Only a little. "Ballesteros," she repeated. My name sounded different in her mouth. Not owned. Remembered. The golden-eyed man leaned close to her and said something in the old language. "Veirat." The nun looked down, not in prayer, in fear. Then she opened a room. They put me inside. It had a cot, a bucket, one blanket folded at the end. The walls smelled cold. The door closed. The lock turned. I waited for someone to explain. No one did. I waited for me mama to come. She did not. I waited until waiting became something inside my bones. Then I slept. Not because I was calm, because a child's body betrays him when it cannot survive any more fear. And behind that locked door, beneath a church that still smelled of candles and old flowers, I learned something no child should know. A closed door can feel like a sentence.